What is up, good people? Welcome back to another episode of our JayNAS Podcast here tonight. Guys, right here on this station, you're going to be updated with all the latest news with PC, console, and even retro gaming. And of course, I couldn't be happier because I'm joined here with my good friend Jason616 from Jason616 Gaming Channel. He needs no introduction. He is our local retro expert. Mate, welcome back. Welcome back to another good, awesome podcast tonight, mate. I'm excited to get talking about some of the latest news.
Yeah,
mate,
it's going to be good. We've not done it for a while. It feels like it's been forever.
We've done bits and pieces, and I think we a couple of us had a bit of a holiday and that, chilling out and stuff, catching some sun,
Easter
which is always good.
We had Easter and all that kind of stuff. So getting all that out the way, and we're just on the cusp of Mother's Day as well. So
Yeah, but that's all right. We'll pick up and we'll try and get another podcast out once a week or something like that. Keep everyone updated the best way we can. We'll get that ball rolling again. Why not? So. I guess we'll start off to see what we're talking about tonight. So I've got three major topics I want to talk about tonight.
Cool, man.
I'm going to cover a bit more of an update of Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know if you remember the last episode about the whole Star Wars thing. So going to cover a bit more on that. Another thing, of course, that's close to my heart, which I'll have quite a lot of detail in. So that's the reason why I've only got three topics I want to talk about, because one of them is going to be quite in-depth, and it's about... it's another thing about Rocket League, about Epic buying Psyonix, which I'll talk about in a little while.
Sweet.
And of course, I'm going to go on about E3. That's a couple of weeks away, so letting know my excitement about E3. Of course, along with my honourable mentions, and I thought I'd add something new tonight at the end of the night by stating what I'd like to call our new segment called Do You Feel Old Yet? So be prepared to feel old at the end of the night. But mate, what have you got for us, buddy? I can't wait to hear it.
First of all, talking about Star Wars, the actor for Chewbacca did pass away, didn't he, within the week?
Yeah, that's right.
Cool new Star Wars game. Yeah, the classic Chewie did pass away. So, yeah, that was really, really sad. So,
yes, for sure.
Also, on my list of topics. Okay, so you remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about the Sega Mega Drive Mini, and we had the 10 games that were revealed. We've got another 10. They've come out with another 10, so we've got 20 games released for that. We've got that one. Also, the Nintendo Switch might have a rival. Something is coming. So I
remember hearing something about that.
I've got that coming up. Some Nintendo Switch games have been announced with no release date as well. So we'll be going into a few of those as well. Have you heard of a game called Crypt of the Necrodancer?
No, start again. That does sound familiar, but then again, I know there's a lot of games with the title Necromancer in it, and there's a lot of things that happen with Necromancer, like Skyrim's huge with Necromancy, so I've probably but I might be wrong.
Okay.
But I can't wait to hear it,
Yeah, there's I'll go into more about what that game is later on, but they've done a collab with The Legend of Zelda with something very interesting, so that should be pretty damn cool. And yeah, that's what I've got to cover off on. So I've got 4 topics, and of course, what happened today in gaming history. I've done it for the past 2 weeks. I'll throw something out there again, and not much happened on the 9th of May. I must say, nothing much happened, but I've got something, so there you go.
Great, cool, man. That's what I like to hear, man. That's what I like to hear. Cool, buddy. So, shall I kick things off, mate?
Yeah. Have you got 3 things? Right. I've got 4. So do you want me to start this time? So then that way...
let's change it up. You go first, mate.
That way we can go back and forth without me having to talk massively at the end on 2 different subjects.
Yeah, that sounds good, mate.
Okay, cool.
Nuts.
Okay, we'll get it out of the way. We spoke about every week, the Sega Mega Drive Mini. 10 more games that have been announced, some real good ones in here, actually. So this will be good. Some ones I haven't heard, because I wasn't much of a Sega guy growing up. I was Nintendo. So Sega was a bit later in life when I appreciated retro games. So that's when I went back. But a lot of the Mega Drive and Super Nintendo games kind of crossed over. So here we go. Landstalker has been announced. I don't know what Landstalker is. I've not heard of that. Don't know if you have been.
No.
Shinobi 3.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yep.
Shinobi, yeah.
Super Fantasy Zone. Don't really know. Thunder Force 3. Don't really know. Contra Hard Corps.
Oh, Contra, classic.
Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse, and World of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. So two of them platformers.
Yeah, upgrade.
Yeah. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 had to be there.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Streets of Rage 2 is there.
Oh.
And the last one, which could be one of the hardest freaking games in the world, and that's Earthworm Jim.
Oh yes, of course, Earthworm Jim, classic game.
So they are really upgrading some of these games because we're going well, because it's like, I don't know, they've not done what PlayStation did, and when they did the PS1 Mini, which was atrocious. We won't go into why it's so bad, but they didn't have a lot of their classic games. It's like they didn't have the license to use them anymore.
Yeah.
Here we go with Sega, which are really throwing some good games in there. I mean, they've held onto the licenses for the Sonic the Hedgehog games, even though Nintendo owns Sonic now. We won't talk about what he looks like in the trailer of the frickin' movie. We won't go into that. He looked...
Yeah.
Oh, boy. That's gone back and they're redoing him. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, so I heard. I heard.
Thank God, because he did not look like Sonic. He just looked like a mouse.
It did look. It's funny how we're on that. You know, I'm happy to talk about that for a minute. It's funny how you say that, because I remember watching the trailer, and I'm kind of on the fence, because I do agree with the people saying, look, he doesn't look anything like traditional Sonic. You know, he's turned up in so many different ways. You know, in short, little short cartoons, little animations in racing games. And he's always sort of consistently looked the same. And then this trailer pops up, and they've sort of made him look more human than anything else. And there's even that scene in the trailer where he's got this big pile of shoes that it looks like he's going through shoes like no tomorrow, which makes sense, and all that sort of stuff. And so, but these are ordinary shoes that we as humans can relate to, and he's wearing them, and having that together, and the way that he runs, and the fact that he's trying to work in a real-time Earth environment, it kind of makes sense, and they've made him look more humanoid. But like I said, I 100% agree that he looked like crap. So, I mean,
it's funny because the trailer in itself wasn't too bad, and the guy that's voicing Sonic hasn't done a bad job. That fits. His voice fits. I can't complain about that. The cool thing is when he jumped off the car in the trailer and then went into his his normal his role, and he speeds up and then goes off. That looked damn cool, and that looked like, damn, yeah, that's a Sonic film right there. That's a classic Sonic move. But the way his eyes were really small, he didn't have the big kind of area where his eyes were, and he was missing his gloves, and his shoes weren't oversized. You know what I mean?
His mouth, and his mouth and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, his mouth looked a little bit too human and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, man. Yeah, totally.
But in saying that though, Dr. Eggman or Robotnik with Jim Carrey, that's going to be fucking cool.
Yeah, I agree.
They couldn't have found a better person for Robotnik. That is cool. But
a lot of people debated Danny DeVito, but I think Dr. Robotnik is supposed to be 7 foot tall or something, isn't he? Initially,
yeah, he's supposed to be really tall. Yeah,
so he's really tall and really huge. So, but a lot of people were like, Danny DeVito, he'd be perfect for it. I was like, no, I think he's a bit too short. So, but you're right. I quite like the fact that it was Jim Carrey, so that's pretty cool.
And he's not done a comedy role for a while, so for him to go back and do a bit of comedy will be really cool, because I feel like he's been missing from comedy for a good long time.
Yeah.
So, but that's me. It was good as well at the end where you saw him with the glasses on and the moustache all the way out, like his classic Robotnik look. But I reckon that will be good, and it's good to see they've got Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 coming to this little Mega Drive Mini. And I'm actually considering... I don't have any of the minis, but I'm considering getting the Mega Drive Mini. I tell you, I'm kind of being influenced by this, because I don't actually collect that many Mega Drive games. They're not that easy to collect, to be fair. You normally see 64 and SNES and NES cartridges. You don't see much for the Segas. So, line it up with some of the other ones that have been announced already, and we're going good, And I'm looking forward to the 19th of September. It's 3 days before my 30th, so I think I know what I'm gonna get.
Definitely,
but
man.
we're halfway through the announcements. They've still got another 20 to go, so they're gonna have 40 games on that sucker. So yeah,
very
so
nice.
when more are announced, I'll be on the lookout. But yeah, so
Very nice, mate. Exciting stuff, buddy.
yeah,
Exciting.
yeah. All right, but over to you, man. What have you got for your first topic of the podcast?
All right, let's do it. So, first topic I want to talk about is, of course, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. As I mentioned last podcast, it looks like Respawn, the makers of the famous Apex Legends, alongside with EA, they officially announced the release date, which is really exciting. It's going to be released on November 15th this year. It's going to be released on PC and console, or in this case Origin. And it's going to be using Unreal Engine 4, not the Premonition Frostbite engine that everyone thought that they would use, because they used Frostbite. They used Unreal Engine 4, I believe, for Apex Legends, but they used Frostbite. Hang on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so... because they use Unreal Engine 4 for Apex, I believe, but EA, even though it's a different developer, EA used Frostbite for for Anthem and all that sort of stuff. So even though Anthem's BioWare, completely different developers, but BioWare was more familiar with Unreal Engine, but they wanted to use Frostbite. So because Frostbite's in the Battlefields, all the Battlefield franchises and all that sort of stuff. And Frostbite's a good engine, but it's quite technical apparently, compared to Unreal or something like that. I'm not really into. I'm into game development, sorry, but I'm not. I don't have my head around it to really sort of judge or specify exactly what it was. But I just remember hearing a lot of BioWare employees were struggling with the Frostbite, and they got people from the Frostbite studios to help. People in BioWare to help develop Anthem, and really over a 4-year period they really only started developing Anthem in the last final year. So that's why Anthem was just such a sort of a trash game all in the end. So but Jedi Fallen Order, as I said, I'm really excited. It's going to be basically a single player game with like story mode game, RPG style, possibly open world or linear, still not sure. It is set after the Revenge of the Sith, so in the lore of it, so basically after episode 3, between episode 3 and 4, around about the same time when Rogue One was around. It was set after that. The game director for Star Wars Fallen Order is also the game director of the God of War series, which is really, really awesome. And I know from a fact, this is in my personal opinion, I know from a fact from hearing from other sources that I've done my own research, is that the director of it, I can't remember his name, I forgot to write it down actually because I'm an idiot. He's traditionally very passionate about folklore when it comes to developing games, and that's one thing that God of War was very praised about, because the main character of God of War is a Spartan, and his father is Zeus and all this sort of stuff, and along with all the lore, with all that sort of stuff, with Thor and all this sort of stuff. Especially in the latest God of War, they've kept a lot of that lore going, and you can actually research a lot of it, and there's books about it and all this sort of stuff, and people get right into the lore of God of War, and he sticks to it. And he's working really closely with LucasArts. Apparently LucasArts are being absolutely amazing in collaborating with him and helping explore the timeline and using this narrative design to design the actual game, Jedi Fallen Order. So basically, if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, when you play the game, the story will go, well, this actually fucking makes sense. You know what I mean? This is like playing episode 3.5, so do you know what I mean? So which is really good. That was really awesome to hear, because that's something that I was quite worried about, just being an absolute flop of a game. And then, because a lot of people said that, Disney was going to pull the Star Wars license from EA or something like that, and then if they do this, they actually might be able to save themselves. And they're saying that basically the mechanics of the GI is going to be extremely immersive and fun to use with all, using the lightsaber and the Force. It's not going to be hard to use. Apparently, it's going to be quite fun. And they're going to make it very, very immersive for the player as well when they play the game. So they're making sure that the person feels like they're actually part of the Star Wars universe, which is really, really good to hear. That's what all developers will say, but they know that Star Wars is arguably the biggest movie title that's ever existed. So probably one of the biggest fan bases on Earth, and for them to want to try and step this up into fifth gear, they know that they've got a lot of work ahead of them, or they've done this in a lot of development. Because it's not I've just started because it's getting released this year, and that's crazy to just start a game and release it in the same year developing it. So this would have been developed for a while, and I'd say that the last, because EA got scrutinised for cancelling 2 single player Star Wars games, and rumours had it was that the reason why they cancelled it was because of single player, and they couldn't find a way to monetise it for revenue. So, but I think that maybe the 2 games that were cancelled was because it just wasn't going the direction that they wanted to go, and they just kept on, wiping the floorboard, going back to the drawing board, I should say. So maybe that's what it is, and I'm looking forward to seeing the more of an official announcement at E3 in a couple of weeks' time, which I'm going to talk about in a little while. But man, that's a really exciting thing for me. So. But yeah, man, that's topic number 1 for me, mate. What have you got? What do you got next?
Well, just covering up on what you said as well. Did you play much God of War?
No, I haven't played any of them, but I've seen a lot of footage with most of the God of Wars to sort of have a bit of an idea what it's about. I watched a whole playthrough from start to finish of God of War 4 because I know I probably wouldn't play it because I don't have a PlayStation 4. And there's only a couple of games where I would go and buy a PlayStation 4 for. God of War, unfortunately, wasn't one of them, but I know that's a great game and it looks really fun to play. But like I said, I saw a play for it from start to finish, and that awesome game. And I could definitely see why it won Game of the Year. So definitely. Yeah.
I mean, I actually haven't played any of them either. Funny thing. I mean, I like a lot of horror games as well, but I guess you could say it's up there because it's definitely out there. It's definitely violent, it just is. But yeah, I mean, I just haven't played them, and I don't know why. I mean, I've played with Kratos before because
that's his name.
Because he was in Mortal Kombat 10. Mortal Kombat, the first Mortal Kombat on the PS3. I forgot, was it 8, 9? I can't freaking remember. Well, I got the complete edition anyway. And yeah, Kratos was there. So, I've never played any of the actual God of Wars, and it's something I've wanted to do it for a while. I just don't know why I haven't. But it got Game of the Year, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'll get that. But once again, I just put it aside and just just forgot about it.
Yeah, man.
But that's saying there. I was just wondering if you'd played much of it because I'm wanting to play it. I'm keen, but I don't know anyone that actually has played it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I mean, at this stage, I do plan to get a PS4 Pro. I mean, PS5 is coming out next year, and I do plan to get a PS4 Pro because Ghost of Tsushima is coming out towards the end of the year. That's a must-have. That's an absolute must-have. And of course, one of my favourite games of all time, the sequel to it, Last of Us 2, is coming out. Apparently, it's rumored to come out at the end of this year as well. And there's absolutely no way I'm not playing Last of Us 2. I'm a huge fan of Last of Us, the first one. Huge fan of it. It's funny. There was a whole generation ago when that came out, and that just blew my mind. That game is just absolutely blew my mind.
Me too. I mean, because you mentioned God of War was Game of the Year, I was going to say I don't think it could ever beat The Last of Us for Game of the Year. I was about to say that. I was literally about to say that. So funny you mentioned The Last of Us because that was so damn good. That took you on such an emotional roller coaster, that game. I don't think any game has ever had such an insane story where you just feel so immersed and your emotions, it brings a tear to your eye almost. And there's not many video games that do that. I mean, not many movies do it for me, let alone video games, but that was an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, man, one of those, very rarely have I had the experience of the game, not wanting the game to finish. Wish it just kept going forever. And I've done about probably 6 playthroughs of that game. 6 or 7 playthroughs of that, and I just love it. It just never gets old. And again, if I get a PS Pro, guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to get Last of Us remastered to play through it again before I play Last of Us number 2. So
I'll probably do the same thing. Do you know what though? Because obviously we have our own YouTube channels as well, and that's where people listening to these can either go and follow them, or they're listening from YouTube right now. But I'm running a series at the moment, and when that series finishes, I was thinking about doing a series of a playthrough of The Last of Us. That was what I was thinking of doing. So I'm like, who do I do that? I'm gonna be physically crying on camera, no doubt. but yeah, I was thinking that that was up there for me. For what I could do as a playthrough. And talking about that, I did a blog recently of the 10 greatest video games of all time, and that just missed my list. But I gave it the shout out it deserved. I just missed the top 10 because of its story alone was incredible. And people that have played it would know what we're going on about. They would just know.
Yeah, man, it's just amazing how it constantly makes you have the feeling of desperate immersion. It always makes you feel like. I mean, people say, "Oh, makes you feel like you're part of the game." I mean, that goes without saying, but you actually feel like you're lost on the line. It's just one of those games where you feel like as if you don't want to make a mistake because you're just going to die, sort of thing. But you just feel it's just so awesome how relative they make it, like as if this is what you'd be doing if you were in this real life situation. And it's probably the only game I've ever played that's actually made you feel like that. This is exactly what I'd be doing if I was in this situation, or would I think of this? Would I do this? All that sort of stuff, mate. So
yeah, I love some of them as well. And that scene when the hospital with the giraffe comes up. That is just like, holy crap. The way they did that was incredible. But I like some of those because you feel immersed. I think Until Dawn did that. Have you played Until Dawn?
No.
Oh, dude. It's one of those things where you have to make, you choose your story. There's so many different endings, and what you choose is how the story ends. And your decisions can kill some people but make others live. And sometimes you have 2 seconds to choose a button in what you do in that circumstance. It is insane. If you've never played that, dude, oh man, seriously, it would be damn cool. It would be damn cool. That may be something we should record together one day. I'll give you the controller to play through it, and I'll just sit with you, because just to see what decisions you make, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, no, sure, man.
All right, we better kick on, hey?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I do like decision-making games, but on the subject where you said your favourite scene with Last of Us, I just got to say, probably my favourite scene with Last of Us is where Joel and Ellie are with the two people, those two other strangers that they picked up, two kind of African American looking guys, older brother in that, and then the younger brother gets infected, and the older brother absolutely loses his shit, and he ends up he's attacking Ellie, and Joel's like, gotta kill him, and he's like, I can't, it's my brother, and he ends up killing his little brother. And he's pointing the gun to Joel, it's your fault, and Joel's like, nah, come on, calm down, and he's trying to calm him down, and you can see the look on Joel's face that he's actually really concerned, he's actually caring about what's happened, and he's like, and then he shoots himself, commits suicide, shoots himself in the head, and you're like, at that moment you're like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck just happened? But the good thing about what I liked about the scene is the look on Joel's face. He was actually really upset because 5 minutes ago, there's a scene where he's punching the shit out of him. He wanted to kill him, and then they sort of become friends. You know what I mean? So,
and you're right. That is a very powerful scene, and it's something that the fucking Walking Dead should take away from The Last of Us. Because could you imagine The Last of Us actually being a TV, making that a movie or a TV show? That would be insane. Because they do video game movies, and they've done Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. But The Last of Us would be one just begging for something.
Well, yeah, man. They rumoured that they were going to make a Last of Us movie. That was ages ago, and they were basically all the cutscenes, because you can YouTube all the cutscenes put together on Last of Us, and you can sort of make a movie because it's something like 3 hours worth of cutscenes. So you can get it, you can watch it all on YouTube, and that's what they reckon they're going to do. They're going to pretty much get all the cutscenes put together and just put it on the big screen. So
they'd need probably a bit of filler. They'd probably need a bit of filler. But I mean, when you think about it, look at the it's like the Harry Potter did like a film over 2 movies. Last of Us could be done over 3. Do you know what I mean? And then you have half an hour of filler per episode or per movie. You could get 3 good films out of that. Well, we're going so far off topic. We're going so far off topic.
Yeah.
All
right. So whose go is it?
I think it's mine. It's mine.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
The rival for the Nintendo Switch is coming, and what they've called it is the Evercade. So it's a brand new cartridge-based handheld console. Cartridge-based. When was the last time they did cartridges? Like, what the hell? And the weirdest thing is, it's a handheld game which connects to your TV, but is still cartridge-based.
Right.
So what they're doing is, it's a brand new handheld console with a unique multi-game retro cartridges. So not much is hugely known about it at the moment. All I can say is several publishers are already on board. And what they're doing is they're trying to combine games from all popular consoles of the 8-bit and 16-bit era. So it's not just Nintendo-based, it's not just that, but when you have to get a Nintendo for these games, they're trying to combine everything. And what they're doing is going to have a rechargeable battery, about 4 or 5 hours they're looking at, but they're going for quality over quantity. And they're going to keep the 4.3 inches, so they're not going to widescreen the old cartridges. They're going to keep them at the old way we used to play them. They're looking at the same size as maybe a PSP or something like that. But not much is known about it yet. I'll tell you a few things that have, and this is a quote from the guy that came up with the concept. He said, "We're retro gamers. We're a team of passionate gamers who want to create a single platform for retro gamers to enjoy their favorite games. We haven't developed this because we saw a gap in the market. This is a project being developed with passion." So there is some images out on it now. What they're doing is it's almost like the layout of the buttons and that looks more like a Dreamcast. Funny enough. So that's kind of funny. But they have actually just announced their very first cartridge to be released. And of all the consoles that have jumped on this bandwagon of things to play, who do you think would it be Nintendo? Would it be Sega? Who do you think has jumped up? Put their hand up and said, "I'm in for this."
Right. Well, I don't know.
All right, the Atari. Atari has said, "We're back. We're doing this," and they're giving 20 of their games onto one cartridge. So a cartridge will hold 20 games, and that's by the looks of how they're doing it. And they reckon you'll get 20 games on a cartridge for about $60. Yeah, but they are doing cartridges again, and the reason they're doing cartridges again is it says here on my source that they think cartridges are still working. Discs break. They don't want an internet-based thing. Because internet lags out, this lags out, when you're trying to play sometimes. They don't want that stuff. They just want to go, take this anywhere, here's a cartridge, the cartridge will last for another 40 years. Because look at PS3 games, the servers are gone now. Servers are shutting down for some of those games. This never will. This will keep going. It's smart because I still have cartridges that still go to this day. This thing won't die. It won't become obsolete.
Yeah, this is true.
But I think they've found somewhere, because the Switch started bringing back a lot of the retro games that you could buy now. Well, I think they're going to try and combine everything, but I don't know if they're going to get many of the licenses for some of the old SNES and NES retro ones, because the Switch is going to be up there battling them head to head, so they might not want to let that go. I don't know what's going to happen there, but yeah, man. So the Evercade, that is going to be pretty damn cool, and they're looking at getting it out by the end of year. So it's very quiet at the moment. It's kind of been, it's kind of been swept under the radar, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man, I know what you mean. Yeah, we have to keep an eye on that. I mean, it's going to it's going to make or break. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's going to be make or break, and anything is possible, I guess. But they straight away said the first thing that was being released was Asteroids on this, which is a good one to say.
Yeah,
we're going straight out. And Tempest was the other main one. They said, here you go, have something. So there's some classic Atari games, and good on these guys, because they're not doing it for a gap in the market. They're doing it for their love of old school games. So it's really cool to see that some people are, thinking cartridges still, and that is really awesome to hear. So. Yeah, so keep an eye on the Everclear, Evercade. Sorry, Everclear's a bloody band, I think. The Evercade, because that would be interesting to see if Nintendo want to hand over some of their licenses, because they might not want to, seeing as they're releasing them on the Switch. But we'll see as time will tell.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Cool. Back to you, dude.
All right, mate. Sounds good. Okay, so the next topic I want to talk about, as I mentioned, I'll probably be I'll try and be as quick as I can, but it looks like I'll be chatting about it for quite a while, because it's quite a passionate topic for me. So as I mentioned plenty of times, mate, Rocket League. It's my main game that I play. It's my favourite game pretty much of all time. I'm very ambitious towards it. I dream to turn pro at it, blah, 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 blah. So the creators and developers of Rocket League, Psyonix, they announced on the 1st of May, around about the 1st of May, that Epic Games has brought out Psyonix, and they've brought Rocket League, basically. So Epic Games are the developers of course, Fortnite, currently the biggest game in the world. And they've made billions of dollars in the last probably 2 years just from Fortnite alone. And
it's
they've
huge,
gone,
man. It's everywhere.
Yeah, and of
All
course, and
kids
if
are
exactly, and unless of course you've been living underneath a rock, Epic Games have now they have their own store, they have their own game store, and they've managed to get some of the big dogs to come over to their store, because Steam currently will pay something like. They'll keep something like 30% royalties or something like that. They have strict refund conditions as well, so that they'll refund any game for just about any reason, all this sort of stuff. So basically, because Valve has had the monopoly of PC gaming platform launches, that a lot of games will go to Steam, and they just have to put up with the conditions of whatever. But Epic have come out and said, look, we'll only keep 10%. Of revenue, and blah, 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 and as long as your game is only exclusive to us and all this sort of stuff. So there's a lot of games that are coming to Epic only, and will only be available at the Epic Store only, because the developers will make more money in the long run and all that sort of stuff. So Outer Worlds will be coming to Epic only, things like that. I heard CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk would probably only go to Epic. They're starting to really pick up a lot of games that are exclusively only being released on Epic Store and all that sort of stuff. So it's not a big deal in its own way. It doesn't really bother me about games being on Epic. I've played games from the Epic launcher, and it's not a big deal, but there is some little things. It's just the whole, developers think they can pull wool over our eyes. So it's basically what's been stated without being specified, is that Psyonix has come out and announced that Epic will be taking over Rocket League. And so basically it'll be on Steam. It'll be available on Steam till the end of the year. In the meantime, Psyonix will support... Sonics will support, all updates and all that sort of stuff on Steam. Rocket League will become Epic, available on Epic at the end of 2019. And in the meantime, until then, basically that when Rocket League moves to Epic, you can still, if you have Rocket League on Steam, you can still play the game from Steam. You can still launch it from Steam. That's not going to change, and they'll still support it on Steam. But basically, they have said that it's going to be removed from Steam, but they haven't specifically specified that it will be removed from Steam. It's people reading between the lines. That it won't be available on Steam anymore. You can only get it on Epic, but it's not going to change your gameplay if you do play on Steam. So you can still launch it from Steam. That's no dramas at all. Updates will happen, all that sort of stuff. You can still do, training packs and all that sort of stuff, which I'll get into in a minute, and all that sort of stuff. So, so the thing is, and a lot of people have reacted negatively to this. They reviewed bombed, Rocket League on Steam, which is a bit of a shame because Rocket League is still an awesome game. And a lot of people just with the anger, fuck you Rocket League because you're going to Epic, fuck you shit game, whatever. So, look, like I said, a lot of people have come out. In my opinion, a lot of people have come out and said, "Look, what's the big deal? Why such a big deal that it's going to Epic and all that sort of stuff?" And there's a lot of people that are elaborating why, but they're sort of just not hearing it. And I'm going to sort of give my little opinion on the pros and cons. Basically, Sunless Khan put it pretty good, but there's a lot of more cons than there are pros of it going to Epic. And the reason why. And a lot of these pros are sort of past tense. We think this would happen, but there's no confirmation that it definitely would. So I'll give a couple of pros. So
yeah, go for it. I'm interested in this, man, because some games they do take off. I know PlayStation got a couple of games that I wanted that just removed it from, that you can't get a hold of it anymore, and I'm just like, oh, what the hell? So I don't know how it's going to go for the Rocket League console players. Is it going to be removed from the stores here unless you have it?
No, so consoles won't be affected at all because Epic doesn't apply to console. It's literally PC launcher. So
okay, cool. I know some people could be pretty anal with that though. They're like, we have it now, remove it from there. It's happened a couple of times that I know of on a few games. So I was wondering, would it affect the consoles?
No, it doesn't affect console. I mean, they buy the game from PlayStation Store or Xbox Live, and it's just there. So it's literally only PC.
Okay, cool. That was alright. I just thought about the question. So with so the pros with it is that the fact that Epic has it is that Epic has a shitload more money than Psyonix. They're going to huge investly into esports because Rocket League is a pretty popular esport. And it's actually worth quite a bit of money at the moment, and they reckon they're going to pump more money into it to get people to watch it more, which I can understand, which I can sort of see, which will then relent to increasing the player base because it will go to Epic Store. So of course a lot of people are on Fortnite. There's a lot of people that use the Epic Store, all the time because people are playing Fortnite. So people are using the Epic launcher, I should say, because people are playing Fortnite. So they're trying to sort of use that. It's kind of like like a supermarket. People are in there. They're trying to put stuff in front of them to try and get them to invest in it. So, so they reckon it's going to increase player base. So with them investing into the esports and people watching the esports, they're going to hope that Rocket League will then take off, which will be a good thing. Don't get me wrong. Now, they reckon that it's going to, a lot of people say it will increase server stability. So, I mean, the servers are pretty good, but because Rocket League is such a minuscule decision-making, highly mechanical player-based game, that every single little millisecond counts because, you miss the ball by half a millisecond, it's game-changing, So, having the best stable servers does help a lot. So, that's something that people are hoping for. And like I said, the game should just grow in general, and if it does, remember I was saying to you before about being a content creator for Rocket League, the more people that are playing the game, the more chances of people looking for experienced players like myself for like guides and tutorials and all that sort of stuff. So or just watching gaming footage and all this sort of stuff. So that's a good thing in a way to look at it. And like I said, with esports, they want to increase player base. I can imagine that as soon as Epic take it over, the next RLCS or LAN or all that sort of stuff, it's going to have Epic all over it, and they're going to have to play the game. All the professional players, the Dignitas, Vitality, Cloud9,
all these guys, G2, all these guys are going to be on their PC and they're going to be playing it and loading it and launching it from the Epic launcher and not Steam traditionally. And I'm going to get into some of the problems with that. So, because that just makes me cringe thinking about that, poor bastards. Because number one, the launcher is bad. It is. It's the server. The launcher server can be a bit buggy. And when there's a lot at peak times, it can run a bit slow and all that sort of stuff. It has very, very little features. It doesn't have even things like feedback. What is it? Reviews. It doesn't have a review system or anything like that. Apparently, it has terrible support and refund policy. So it's a simple. Same with the Bethesda launcher and the Battle.net launcher. If you brought the game more than 72 hours ago, you can't get a refund no matter what. Even if the game doesn't work or anything like that, you can't get a refund.
That's
the same thing with Battle.net. Yeah, same thing with Battle.net. My Call of Duty copy never worked. It's only worked once, and I tried to get a refund, couldn't get it, and they said 72 hours. And every time I sent emails, I never got replies or anything like that.
That's bad. That's bad.
So yeah, it is. So you can't do reviews. It's got terrible security. A lot of people's security, accounts, they've been hacked and exposed and all this sort of stuff.
And especially with Fortnite being so playable, it will be one of those games that would be turned to for that.
Yeah, man. I mean, they got a good anti-cheat mode. Don't get me wrong, but you don't get hacks in Rocket League. Hacking is almost non-existent because it's almost not possible because it's such a mechanical-based game. What hacks can you use to give you an advantage? There's almost none.
Yeah.
So now control support is almost non-existent. So Steam, you can plug a controller in and it works straight away. So with Epic, it's almost nothing. It's almost non-existent compared to Steam. And someone like myself who uses a mod pack, Steam recognises mod packs. Epic doesn't. The Epic launcher doesn't recognise mod packs at the moment. And apparently they have a roadmap where they're going to bring in things like this, but it's another year away. So we're going to have these professional players. Like I used to use a Razer Raju controller. Fairy Peak, one of the best players in the world, he uses a Razer Raju. I'm telling you now, the Epic launcher won't recognise this controller. He's going to have to install DS4 Windows. All these people are going to have to suddenly install DS4 Windows and things like that to get it working. And at the moment, unfortunately, DS4 Windows doesn't recognise Razer controllers either. So, unfortunately, one of the best players in the world is going to have trouble playing the game when it goes to Epic, because I'm telling you now, at RLCS, they are going to make the pro players launch the game from Epic because it'll be sponsored by Epic. They'll invest millions of dollars into it, and players like Fairy Peak probably won't even be able to play for that reason unless they'll make an exception. And of course, rumour has it, which I'll be willing to bet money on it, is that it's going to go free to play, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not a great thing either, because I'm telling you now, Smurf accounts. And so Smurfing, for people out there that don't know what Smurfing is that if you are someone who's quite highly experienced in the game, I've played 900 hours of this game. I'm quite experienced at the game. And let's just say I started a new account and I jumped in the game and I started playing competitive mode. I would be competing against people who have also only just started playing the game, or very, very low levels, because it's got a specific ranking system in it. So no placement matches, bronze 1, 2 and 3, silver 1, 2 and 3, so on and so forth. So if I just started the game, I would be at the bottom, right? And I'd play against other people who are also at the bottom, who have no experience, no skills, nothing. And I can tell you now, for people out there that do play the game, they'll know what I'm talking about. For people that don't know, I'm telling you now, I'm not even elaborating. There is no competition at all whatsoever. The experienced player will absolutely slaughter. It's not like playing Fortnite, where if I just point my gun in the direction, there's a good chance I'll kill him. It becomes more of a 50-50. Don't get me wrong, the more experienced players, a good chance of winning because they just know a couple of little tricks and all that sort of stuff. But the skill ceiling isn't high, anywhere near as high as it was for Rocket League. And basically, Smurfing accounts, the lower level players will get slaughtered constantly, and they won't want to play because they can't win a game. And if it's free to play, all I have to do is make up a new email. If I make up 10 new emails, suddenly I've got 10 different versions of the Rocket League, and I can play them at different times and just play through the game. So it's going to be a Smurf smorgasbord, in my opinion, and it's going to destroy the game if that's the case. So, like I said, if all I need is a new email and I can play a brand new, play from the beginning of Rocket League, then it's going to be a nightmare for new players that actually want to get in there and play it. So,
brutal.
I mean, smurfing is not a huge problem for me because I'm such a high rank. I play against, honestly, grand champions can smurf, but to be honest, there isn't much of a difference between C1 and C2. Again, C2 to C3, C3 to grand champ, and I play against a lot of C3s and grand champs quite a lot of the time anyway. And don't get me wrong, they're great, but it's not to a point where you go, this cheating bastard smurfing, because it's just the way it is at the level that I play. So I won't actually encounter a problem with smurfing. However, I'm the perfect candidate that could smurf and could actually potentially single-handedly take part in destroying the game for people that want to start off the game at a lower level. So
and that sucks on a game that you love as well.
Well, yeah, man. Like I said, I mean, at the moment, what's funny enough is that when I load up the game, it actually sees how many people are actually playing the game right at the moment. You're playing the game. It says active play count, right? And ever since they announced the Epic thing, I've never seen the player count so low. The lowest I've ever seen it is about 40,000 people, right? The highest I've ever seen is about 200,000. At its peak times, it sits around about 110, 120,000, right? Because it's quite popular in North America and Europe.
And obviously the time we sign on is when half the world is obviously asleep as well. Because we're in Australia.
Exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly. OCE are only on, between 4 p.m. and, 10 p.m. our time. So, so 40,000 people are on. Commonly, it drops down for a little bit after that, and then it starts picking back up again because people are starting to wake up in the morning. But like I said, for the last 2 and a bit years I've been playing Rocket League, I've never seen it drop below 40,000.
That sucks, man.
So for a while there, I never saw it drop below 50,000. Never seen it drop below 40,000. But recently, the last few days, I've seen it go as low as 22,000. So, and I've just gone, oh my god, is this because of Epic? Is it because of that? People have now just stopped playing the game because they're just going, fuck you. So, coincidence? I don't know, honestly. But like I said, I've never seen it drop below 40. And then after the Epic launch, I saw it go to like 32. And then I saw it go to 28. And then I've seen it go to 22. And I've just gone, Jesus Christ. So, like I said, just when I'm starting to get good at the game and I've got dreams I want to flow through, this is literally the Donald Trump of, Rocket League. They're either going to do Epic is literally going to do epic changes to Rocket League and make it a superior game and put it right up there, or they're going to absolutely destroy it in the ground and then just wipe their hands off and goes, oh well, no big deal. So to me it would be, because I'm so passionate about it. I'm so close, such a close game to my heart. So yeah, man, look, it's just a tough one. Like I said, it goes to Epic Launcher. I'm not phased. I can still play from Steam, whatever. I might even make a new account on Epic, all that sort of stuff. Especially goes free to play, because I know a few people that will probably start playing it. And if I start a new account, I actually will be on the same level as them. Therefore, our opponents will be the same. Because like I said, if I play with a friend who is a bronze player and I'm a champ player, we get matched up with people that would be in the middle, and that would be around about gold 3, maybe platinum 1. And even then, gold 3 gameplay and platinum 1 gameplay for a bronze 1 would also be like a slaughter vest. The bronze wouldn't even touch the ball because it'll be in the air all the time. You know what I mean? So things like that. So it'd be good to play with some friends who are like bronzes or silvers, because there will be an even match. The thing is, I don't have to play at my best. I can just sort of chill out. So
that's exactly right. And I've been wanting to play Rocket League for a while, but I've just had no one really to play with. Therefore, I've not really picked it up, and it's a game I wanted to play.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I recommend playing it and just getting into it and just having a bit of feel it, just having your own fun. Getting into it. It'll take you a while to sort of get a feel for it, and like I said, you don't need to have someone to play with all the time, because you can play by yourself and all that sort of stuff. And like, if I ever make an alternate account, we'll be definitely playing together, that's for sure, because it'll be a lot of fun, and I can just sort of chill out and I can give you some tips and all that sort of stuff. And basically go from there. But like I said, man, it's a lot of us are nervous, and a lot of pro players are on YouTube going, well, we don't know what to say, we don't know what to do. A lot of them are thinking this is going to be a disaster, but they can't really say it because they are such close ties with Psyonix. If these pro players start dishing Psyonix, it's going to be really bad for their pro team that they play for. And it's just really bad for their image as a pro player. So
I suppose for them, it's just let's just continue this until the time comes closer. Because what other choice do they have?
Exactly, mate. No, exactly.
I hate it when you're just not given a choice for something and someone else just changes it for you. It's never fun.
No, exactly, mate. But no, that's topic number 2 for me, man. Mate, what else have you got? All
right, so I mentioned there was a Crypt of the Necrodancer before, early on, and you didn't know what it was. So it was released on the PC in 2015, but the Nintendo Switch picked it up. It's like a personable dungeon crawler, if you know what they are. I guess you know. I don't think I do, yeah, it's almost like where it's like your procedurally generated level. So when you clear the thing, you walk in a direction and it loads up the screen on where you are. One of those kind of things. Where I guess you could say the very first Legend of Zelda is when you go, walk up the stairs kind of thing, and it just goes into like the next area, and that screen loads up. It's kind of like that. So, it's one of them. It uses your normal RPG kind of look, I guess, where you look from above, and it just stays that way, and it looks quite retro. Like, it actually does look retro. I guess it's like if you've ever played Towerfall. You know how Towerfall's new, but it still looks quite retro. Well, these guys did the same thing. But they've actually done a collab with the Switch, and they're adding the Land of Hyrule to it. So this new one is called Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer. So they've done a combination of both, where they've taken the old school 8-bit and 16-bit kind of Link and Princess Zelda and adapted them into a new section of this, where it's the whole thing of Legend of Zelda where you got to save Hyrule, but it's done in the exact same way of Crypt of the Necrodancer. Almost like your classic Legend of Zelda first game on the NES. But it's newer school. So there's a bit of rave about it, but they were saying it's they were going to be doing it by about August or something. Where this game is going to be announced, but it's just appeared on the European eShop for Nintendo. So they reckon that we could have it as early as the end of May. So they pushed it 3 months prior to its normal release date.
Wow.
So, and why not? Because it's a nice teaser for, obviously, there's another a Legend of Zelda game to come out, which is they've redone Link's Awakening for the Nintendo Switch, the old NES game. So I guess that can help hype that up. So they can see how that goes see how the sales of that goes with Legend of Zelda name tag on it, and good for the guys from the Crypt, Crypt of the Necrodancer. Brace yourself games. Don't know of them; they're very indie. But to sign up the creators of The Legend of Zelda, nice way to promote your own game. Very clever. So that should be a bit of fun. I've never played it, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, I'm a freaking Zelda's my favorite gaming franchise of all time. Like you were just talking about Rocket League. Legend of Zelda's mine. So I'm kind of interested, and I'm holding out. I mean, I'm holding out for the Link's Awakening for the Switch as well. They're bringing that to a newer school, like they did with Pokemon Let's Go. How it was like the old Game Boy journeys, but it looked like a 3D kind of way of doing it. They're doing that with the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Same concept. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be pretty damn cool, and let's see how this goes. It's a very, very indie game. Not much about it really, but it got an 8.6 out of 10 as a game rating, and very under-recognized, but it looks pretty damn cool. If you look it up and see photos, you can see how retro it does look. It's like on those old school kind of NES looking games, but with vibrant colours and all kinds of stuff. So it looks pretty damn cool. But combining with Legend of Zelda, that's pretty cool as well. So
That sounds really promising, mate, and sounds quite nostalgic and intriguing, all in a cocktail slurry. What?
For sure.
Yeah,
it looks weird. It looks weird because they've incorporated music into that game as well, and it's looks very interesting to say the least. But best just to look it up, and what they've actually put the trailer up of Cadence of Hyrule, where they've combined the two, so you can check it out, and you can actually play as Zelda, which you don't normally do. So there you go.
That's pretty awesome.
Anyway, I'll chuck it back to you, man.
Cool, mate. Too easy. So, exciting stuff. E3. E3 is a gamer's favourite time of the year. It is our Christmas. It is our birthdays. It is our Hanukkah. It is our Ramadan. It is whatever the hell you want to call it. It is the night you lose your virginity. Whatever it is, it's the most amazing night of the year. E3, June 11 to 13. So that's about 3 to 4 weeks away. Of course, everyone's anticipation with what publishers are going to be there, what developers are going to be there, what they're going to announce, what announcements that they announce to release dates, all that kind of stuff. Teasers, trailers, what's coming into the future, just to sort of put people's minds at rest. So what I've got a list of games that are rumoured to be announced officially at E3, along with their release dates. So, as in, I don't have the release dates here, but I mean, like, these games should be released, officially announced E3 style, with release dates trailing them, apparently. So, there's a couple in here that might actually make your ears go up, mate, which I saw. I was like, oh, yeah, Jason will be quite interested to hear that.
Well, funny you say that, because my next topic I was going to talk about was some Nintendo Switch games that have been announced with no release date. And on this, it will be interesting to see if some of these actually come up at E3. So yeah, I'm interested to see what happens here, because there's some games that have been spoken about for so long, but there's been little to no information leaked about them. So it'll be go for it, because I'm hoping certain ones in here might pop up. So we'll see.
Yeah, great.
We'll see.
Well, cool, man. Well, Borderlands 3, so
we knew that
by
one.
Gearbox and 2K, so we know that's coming out. The official release date should get out, but the E3, they'll release a new trailer, new features of the game, so all characters. I mean, there's rumours to come out. There's apparently hundreds of thousands of different gaming sounds and noise, gun noises or something like that, which is really cool. I heard that the developers, Gearbox of Borderlands, the little bad guys are not called midgets anymore because they think it's a bit too PC, so they've called them something else now. So, which I thought was a bit of a shame, because I know someone's going to get offended, but Jesus Christ, mate, just come on.
That's what anyway. That's what they've been.
Probably one of the bigger ones that I'm excited about, including my cousin Shano. He's a massive fan. Is Cyberpunk 2077 by CD Projekt Red, the developers of the Witcher series. So Cyberpunk will be officially announced, and with its release date this year, that it was strongly rumoured to do, along with a new, most likely a new trailer as well. Destiny 3. So Destiny 3 will be quite interesting, because I'm a fan of the Destiny series, but this will be the first game in the Destiny series where it's developed by Bungie and not Activision. So Activision there'll be no production from Activision at all, because the whole Bungie and Activision thing split about 4 months ago. Activision will have very little to nothing to do with Destiny 3. It purely will be Bungie, so that's pretty cool. Interesting to see what I reckon. I reckon Destiny 3 will just be a completely different. They'll go down a completely different path. So I quite enjoyed both the Destinies. So I'm interested to see what happens here. Another one I'm excited for is Doom Eternal. Bethesda id Software. I'm interested to hear when that's going to be released, because that looks pretty cool. Gears of War 5 by the Coalition, that will be pretty cool. Halo Infinite by Bungie, naturally, so that will be interesting to see what's going on there. I probably won't play it at all, but it's still interesting.
Halo will keep going.
Oh yeah, for sure, mate. This will be a good one for you. Skate 4, Neversoft, EA.
Oh, that has been in the works for so long. That shocks me, because I thought they would never do that. That is cool.
So it's a rumor. It's a rumor, dude. So they reckon that Neversoft should get on stage. They should announce Skate 4. They might even have a trailer, possibly a teaser for release date. or just a teaser at least that it's in development. It'll be coming 2019 or coming 2020, or something like that. So
Skate 3, which was the last installment they had, was released 8 years ago. It's been 8 years since a Skate game,
and that looks pretty timeless as well, man. It looks really good still. So
it does. And I tell you what, like, I prefer Skate over Tony Hawk. Shoot me if you don't like that. But the fact that the way you flick the stick is how the board spins, very creative. While Tony Hawk was just push a button for a kickflip. Like, they really went all out with Skate, and I'm playing it at the moment as a series on my channel. So Skate 4, that would be epic. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, man. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
So of course, I believe just recently, just a few days ago, there was a leak. So Splinter Cell Ghost Recon. There should be some announcement with Ubisoft, I believe. This will be another one for you. This is probably one of the games that you're talking about. Star Fox Grand Prix is rumoured to be announced, whether it's going to be a release date or not. But the same people that did, so Retro Studios, and Nintendo, same people that did Metroid Prime.
Do you want me to tell you something? That is not on my list, and I'm smiling from ear to ear.
So Star Fox Grand Prix. So that'll be interesting. Grand Prix, I mean, everyone thinks Formula 1 racing cars or go-karts, but it's Star Fox. They'll have to have aeronautical equipment in there. They have to. I'm hoping it's another story base, because the last one they did was wasn't it Star Fox? Was it Zero? And it was just kind of like a rehash of Star Fox 64, but it just was crud. I mean, I love Star Fox, but it needs another mainstream game. I mean, they did add them into Starlink. I don't know if you've played Starlink or heard of Starlink, but they added Fox McCloud and those guys into another game, which was cool and all. And it had a cameo from the Star Wolf team, obviously. But it needs another mainstream game. It needs something. I mean, the last ones it had was on the freaking GameCube. Come on. Like, give us something. The Wii didn't have Star Fox. The Wii U had Zero, which is a rehash. Like, it's about time that franchise was given a good fucking game. So yeah, man. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty intriguing. So that will obviously come out on Switch. So
lucky I got the Switch. Really Jesus Christ.
For sure, man. And of course, Star Wars Fallen Order. We know release dates and that, but I think I reckon there'll be a massive trailer announced at E3. They'll have like a gameplay trailer, because I mean they're emphasising quite a lot on story and gameplay. So I reckon there'll have to be like a 10-minute gameplay trailer or something like that, which would be really cool. And of course, as I mentioned before, one of the games that another great game that I'm really excited for. I think there'll be like an official release date of the Halo Master Chief Collection by 343 Industries, so Halo 1, 2, and 3, and all that sort of stuff. So the remakes of those, they'll come out on Steam, excuse me, which is really, really awesome. So that should be an announcement as well, mate. But E3, as between now and our next podcast, I'll be keeping an eye on more updates of maybe official, what's going to be official E3, because these are all just rumours. But what's going to be official at E3, hopefully I'll have an update by our next podcast, and I'll keep you updated on that. So, sweet. I will be, like I said, I'll be delivering as much news as I can behind the scenes. Not really, but of E3 as best I can. But, mate, I'm done with my third one. What have you got left for us, mate?
Well, for one, the announcement of Star Fox has me pissing myself with excitement. I love Star Fox, man. And, like, we caught up just before Easter. And we actually put on Star Fox, because you don't have a 64.
We did.
And we did. We put on Star Fox was the go-to, man.
Well, Lilac Wars here in Australia, but yes, correct.
Man, good. That's awesome. That's good news. A lot of mine weren't on that list, to be fair. So that's good, because I can make a few announcements. We've got games that do have some announcements. I think we covered off on some of these anyway. And that is Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered is coming this month. Super Mario Maker 2 is coming in June. Another Fire Emblem game is coming in July. Now, we don't normally get them released where we are in the world. So that's also good. But that's pretty much it. As well as, autumn 2019 Pokemon Sword and Shield, which we know of. But these are ones that we don't have a release date for. And Switch are doing an Animal Crossing, which I kind of knew that was coming, as well as Link's Awakening. Metroid Prime 4 is coming to the Switch as well. I love the Metroids games; they're damn good. But they're also doing another Luigi's Mansion, and they're gonna try and run it off the same way Odyssey is done. So if they do that with Luigi's Mansion, that would be fucking epic. That would be really, really cool. And they're still saying, and this is what I was hoping would happen at E3. I mean, E3 would still have a few surprises that no one's expecting. That always usually happens. But still searching for that core Pokemon RPG game that they promised us for about a year. Still don't know much on it and whether or not it's happening. I don't know if they're using Sword and Shield and stuff like that to pass the time, but Pokemon is dying for that. But some other third-party games that are coming to Switch with no release, they're doing a collection of arcade classics from Konami. So that should be fun. And they're doing a Castlevania collection as well for the Switch, as well as Contra. So that's that would be pretty cool. They're going back to the retro style.
Contra.
Yeah, going back to the retro style of them. They've also got Five Nights at Freddy's is coming to Nintendo.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be saying
it's not it's only on PC and Steam. It's not actually ever been released for a console. So that is actually brand new for Scott Cawthon, who does those. And I believe the series was meant to be done, and he just dropped a new fucking game, which he always seems to do when people go, "Oh, it's over." No. It's never over. He's got something up his sleeve all the bloody time. So it's some other ones as well. Do you remember Abe's Oddworld from?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
huge game.
He's coming back for Switch. Yeah, another old school character who's coming. He's coming back into it. I'm just trying to. I can't believe this. Shaq Fu, a Legend Reborn.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Streets of Rage.
Right up there with fucking
Streets of
ET
Rage
on
4.
Street Fighter.
Streets of Rage 4 is coming. Sonic Racing, we knew that was coming as well. And there's some NES games that are coming to the Switch as well, the old schools. Added just this month, we got Donkey Kong Jr. We got Dr. Mario, Double Dragon, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Bloody hell, that is painful, man. That one is so painful.
Classic game.
Yeah, so and we've got Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels was just added as well.
Lost Levels.
Yeah, so so we've got a few good ones coming out for the Switch, and I'm still looking out for that Pokemon Core RPG that they said should be coming out, because I've been waiting a year and still nothing, so that sucks a bit. Yeah. Anyway, dude, that's all I have. That's me wrapped up. So
nice, mate. Awesome. Well, I'm just down to my honourable mentions, mate. So I've got two honourable mentions now. One's a bit negative and one's a bit positive. I'll start off with the negative one, so we shake it off and get on to the positives. So, Riot Games, the creators and developers behind League of Legends, the giant e-sport attraction itself, one of the biggest games of all time. The employees of Riot Games have staged a walkout over forced aberration. So basically, Riot Games makes their game developers work overtime, 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week, weekends. They give up time for their families and all this sort of stuff. And they put them in shitty, crappy conditions and all this sort of stuff. Very little breaks and all this sort of stuff. So I hear, and Riot Games basically goes, "Don't like it, leave. I'll replace you with someone else." So all this sort of stuff. So people have just gone, the only way we can get through to them is if we all walk out together and go, "Fucking shove it up your ass. I'm not working for you anymore," and everyone leaves. So apparently League of Legends servers went down, all this sort of stuff, and a lot of people have come back. What's going on? Get back to, even players, like, this is bullshit, get back and do your job, blah, blah, blah. People have come out, no, hang on, you've got to support these people. The reason why your game is possible is because of these people and they're getting treated like shit. The thing is, another funny thing about it is that it hasn't been surfaced yet, but again, apparently it's going to happen at any moment. But apparently Epic does the same fucking thing. This is what I don't like. This is another thing that I don't like. I haven't mentioned it yet because I was going to mention it with this, but apparently Epic is being caught out for doing the same thing. Makes their employees, a lot of former Epic employees have said the same thing. They make you work 100 hours a week. You hardly get breaks. You got to do overtime. You can't leave without finishing certain projects. Blah 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 blah. And if you don't like it, leave. Don't come back. Blah blah blah. It's why Fortnite has been able to withstand all of the server pressure that's been attaining for the last 2 years. When something breaks, they fix it really quickly. That's why they're able to constantly get new skins and new updates and new seasons out all the time. They're able to constantly be able to feed the giant slayer of Fortnite as it is. That's how they've been able to do it, and that's why a lot of people come out. Why isn't Apex Legends been able to do it? And because Respawn have come out and said it's because we get our guys only work 40 hours a week. We don't push them past the barrier. We bring our updates as fast as we physically can within a respectable limit to our employees because we care about our employees. And this statement alone has made people come out and go, well, what the fuck is Epic doing? So that's what I mean. It hasn't serviced yet, but it's going to happen sometime. And I've heard rumours that Epic is under investigation for these kind of, for these kind of statements made by former employees and all that sort of stuff. And that alone makes me not want to endorse in much Epic at all, because if that's how they treat their staff, just so 12-year-old kids can play games, then that's disgusting in my opinion. So
yeah, it's that's not fair.
Little things like that. Because I mean, League of Legends is a massive, highly revenue-raising esport, and Fortnite would be as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if they do things like that. So, and like I said, if I hear that Rocket League is, suddenly gaining all this extra, player base, getting all this money, blah, 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 but they're making their workers work 100 hours a week, that alone will make me want to stop playing Rocket League, so for a while, just to protest, but it's just a tough one, because if no one else is doing it, then it's just me not playing a game, and that's not going to get anywhere. So,
yeah.
Little things like that. So it's a bit sad to hear things like that. They're really, really honest, it is. And I'm kind of hoping that the rumours of Epic doing that as well are squashed. But at the same time, we don't know if it is happening. I'd rather know about it, so people know about it, so they can support these people in need, because it's not fair. It's just that simple. So, but that put to one side. On a positive note, Intel Extreme Masters Esports event that happened April 30 to May 5, held at the Kudos Bank Arena in Sydney, here in Australia. Australia's not renowned for its esports culture. North America and Europe are, and even Japan. Korea is as well. So when it comes to esports, Australia's probably right at the bottom. When it comes to being esports endorsed, people just don't understand it. When we have some of the worst internet in the world, so not surprised. But
we are.
Yeah, well, exactly, mate. But new record attendance here in Sydney. Apparently 8,000 people per day over the 5 or 6 days. Roughly around about 40,000 or so people in total.
That's
so
cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah, man. That's really good news to hear that esports are starting to get some attention. I said it myself to a lot of people, because there's a lot of people about my age and even older than me that don't understand the concept of esports, and I've said to them that esports, the revenue of esports will be so big, it will be bigger than American football, even the World Cup. One day it will be. It'll be pretty close to it. If not, it will be. I mean, my next statement will prove what I'm about to say, is that I got a statement from one of the esports CEOs here in Australia. So esports itself is expected to hit a record $1.1 billion US this year in revenue, and a global esports audience set to hit about 553.8 million people. So it's basically bigger. It's almost bigger than people watching the Super Bowl. Now, generation fluctuation and flushing. So think about it for a second. You've got 12-year-old kids right now playing Fortnite, watching on an esports, and watching other people like Ninja, Shroud, Dr. Disrespect playing Fortnite, playing Epics, and all this sort of stuff. They're watching it, and they're watching all the competitions. They get 40, 50, 60,000 or so views. There are more and more people playing it. There are more and more people watching it. Now imagine this. Now imagine the 12-year-old kids that are playing today, right? In 10 years' time, they'll be 22 years old. They might even have their own kid. You know what I mean? They might have a 1-year-old, 2-year-old kid. They might have their own children. And 5 years after that, so in about 10 to 15 years' time, the millennial generation that have grown up with esports and online gaming and social gaming, that will flush through. There'll be more people in 10 and 15 years' time, because that's just the generation that's coming through, will be watching more esports than they will be watching the Super Bowl, will be watching the World Cup, because that's just how the generation has decided to travel. So we'll be having people in their early 20s, mid-20s, that have children of their own, that are now fathers and mother figures, that are going to university or finish university, are now doctors, that are now pediatricians, that are now engineers, that are now mechanics, watching and playing more esports than they are watching the Super Bowl. It's going to happen in 10 to 15 years' time, because that's the way it is. Esports been around for about 10 years, but because of social media and the way things are, it's grown dramatically. It's in the last 5 years. I think it's grown like 200% every year for the last 5 years.
Yeah, and with the way sport and stuff like that, like you say, Super Bowl is broadcasted on so many different ways to watch it while not being physically at the game. One could almost argue that people will be dropping from the actual crowd to watch these actual sport games, because it's so many ways on your phone, on this, on that. It almost feels like
at the same at the same time, yeah.
It just feels like the digital world will take over, and that's exactly where video games sit.
Mate, at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if Perth Stadium in 10 years' time holds an esports event and it's sold out. So I mean, imagine a weekend, a Friday, a Saturday night, and a Sunday night, and Friday night is Fortnite and League of Legends. Saturday night is Rocket League and I don't know, PUBG and Apex Legends. Sunday night is Super Smash Brothers, and the best teams around the world are at Perth Stadium, and they're all in the centre, and there's big massive screens everywhere, and and it's all dark, and there's lights on, and there's lightsabers everywhere, there's glow sticks, and all this sort of stuff going nuts. And like I said, cause it'll be all dark, it'll be at night time, so obviously the screens can light up, and people would get into it to cheer on their favourite esports team, So in 10, 15 years' time, mate, I'm premonitioning it. It wouldn't surprise me if Perth Stadium fills up with 60,000 people watching their favourite esports team over like a three night weekend or something like that.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't surprise me, man. So. But yeah, it's growing. That's really good to hear about the support they got in Sydney, and it's only just the start of it. So
crazy. It's gonna
be huge, man. It's gonna be huge. But yeah, what else you got for us, man?
Well, I don't have anything. I've just got what happened.
Fun fact?
Yeah, or what happened today in gaming, and I guess, and then you've got something that's I think as well. So,
yes. Do you feel old yet? So you go first, mate.
All right. So, fuck all really happens today in gaming on the 9th of May. The only thing I found, and this is so bad, so I found a fun little fact about a very popular video game to back on this. The game that has helped people with the most weight loss ever was released on this day. And no, I'm not talking about the Wii Fit. 18 years ago today, Dance Dance Revolution, was released. It's so bad. So, I don't even class that as a proper video game. So I found a fun fact, because I thought, no, that's awful. I can't be the thing to leave us on Dance Dance Revolution. So I came up with a fun fact about where my journey on Pokemon started. And something I actually found out just yesterday is that, did you know Pokemon Red and Blue almost never got actually released? They almost didn't do it. And you want to know why?
Why?
They almost lost the computer that stored all the data for the game.
Elaborate?
As they were trying to do the developing of that game, the computer suffered a seriously nasty crash, and they almost lost all their work. And they didn't want to. They didn't want to go back and redo it all. So they almost, if they couldn't get it back, they were just going to can the game.
I thought when they said they lost the computer, I thought someone decided to take it home for the weekend and left it at its mother's or something.
It suffered a major crash and they didn't want to go back and do all the efforts again. Could you imagine if those games were never released on the Game Boys? We would never have gold, silver, whatever the hell it was to come. Those games would never have been a part of our life just because of a computer crash.
Yeah, well, amazing.
So I had to find that because Dance Dance Revolution just wasn't good enough. So it just wasn't good enough. I was scraping the barrel, man. I was scraping the barrel.
Classic. All right, mate. Well, look, we're going to wrap this up, but of course, before we do, I'm going to finish off with the first instalment of Do You Feel Old Yet? Mate, I hope you took your young pills today because you're about to feel old. I can guarantee it.
Okay, hit me.
In 1997, 22 years ago, on this day, Killer Instinct Gold on Nintendo 64 was released. So 22 years ago.
Wow.
I work with someone younger than that. So, yeah, man. Yeah.
That was a crucial part in video gaming for me because that was when I was playing the shit out of Ocarina of Time and the 64. Like, that was it for me. They were my glory days. But to think I would have been 8 years old.
Yeah, man. I was 13 and a half when that game came out. And, at school trying to lose my virginity and all that sort of stuff around about that same time. So, as you do.
I was way too young for that. I was trying to lose my virginity at 8. I wasn't doing that.
So was I, but still.
Shit.
I was trying to, but
so that was released on May 9, was it?
No. May. It says May 8. So technically, that would be May 9 for us.
Okay, yeah, cool. That's probably why I didn't find it on my list of things. But shit, that does make me feel old. That makes me feel old.
22 years ago. I mean, there are 22. I mean, yeah. I mean, like I said, I work with a guy younger than that. The game came out, before he was born, and it was one of the best games of our retro area growing up. Everyone loved Killer Instinct. Everyone loved Killer Instinct Gold. I mean, everyone loved Killer Instinct, and everyone used to button mash Sindel. And then Killer Instinct Gold, everyone's like, "Where's Sindel gone?" And then everyone started playing as Awkward and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, Cinder, the fire guy.
Yeah, Cinder. What do I call him? Sindel.
Sindel was Mortal Kombat, wasn't it?
That's right. I keep doing that. I keep getting Cinder and Sindel mixed up. I used to always play as Glacius.
Glacius was the man. I think my guy was Spinal or Saberwolf with my two.
Yeah, that's right. Spinal or Saberwolf. That's right. I like Saberwolf as well. That's right.
I mean, I remember playing my brother in that, and he was seriously so fucking good at Orchid. It wasn't even funny. Like, he would...
Same my cousin.
And like, I literally was like, Saberwolf was my saving grace. Because if I didn't have Saberwolf on my team, he would just go through me like friggin' mincemeat. Like, it was not even funny. But I think we spoke about this in the very first podcast, that is such an underrated fighting franchise. Because, it still stands the test of time for me, but a lot of people, it was like a couple of months ago, they were having a Street Fighter 2 competition, where it's like a round robin, you win, you go through, you fight the next person. And I came third out of like 32. Yay, go me. But I was like, oh, what fighting games do you play? I was like, Killer Instinct. And we're like, what? And like, the room was like, Killer Instinct. Like, why'd you play that? And I was like, what do you mean, why do I play that? Killer Instinct's the bomb.
Awesome.
Like, and of the room of about 40 people that were there was about 2 people that liked Killer Instinct. And even then, they said I wouldn't do a competition of that because, it's not that great. And I was like, oh. I was like, what the fuck's wrong with you people? Like, what room have I walked into? Is this a bunch of retro fighting gamers, Why?
Mate, I brought the game because it was black and it came with a CD.
The soundtrack, man, yeah. I have the black cartridge sitting behind me. It's seriously a cool game. But it's funny, though, because you say that Killer Instinct was released 22 years ago. When you think of 97 and 98, like, That is Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, Ocarina of Time. All those games, GoldenEye, that was 97, all those games are 22 years old. All those classic games, I was like 8 and 9 years old. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, man. Big time, mate. Big time. As I was saying, my cousin got really good with Orchid. He got a record. He got a 36-hit combo one time. He was working on it for ages, and he did it to me. He did this 36-hit combo on me. It was nuts. So, yeah. But he reckons over time he developed a 42-hit combo or something, but I never saw it.
Me.
But he was
Fuck
nuts.
Me.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
That's
just insane.
That's crazy, man.
Insane. But, mate, we are done. Unless you got anything else that you want to help wrap us up with, mate. We are good to wrap up. We're good to go.
I'm not going to sing us an outro or anything, so I'll let you take it away.
That's all right, mate. That's all good, man.
Fun, man.
Cool.
It's been really good fun.
Yeah, it was.
You know, a bit longer than what we normally go, but you talk about stuff you're passionate about. You're all on, you know. So, man, it's all in good fun, and I'm looking forward to E3 in a couple of weeks' time, because I'm sure we'll do a podcast straight after that and go crazy at what we did see. So,
and I just want to know what's going on with Epic. Like I said, I feel like I'm at the children's hospital. Me kids in hospital. I'm just waiting to hear like an outcome of his sickness. I just want to hear what's going on. And what's it going to do? It's just,
I can imagine how you feel in that, because for me, I'm so lucky that I'm a retro guy, because no one can take away how my cartridges come. They're timeless, and they've solidified their history, and that is what it is. But unfortunately, with the digital world, anything can change in an instant, and it sucks.
Well, that's the thing as well, man. See, because I'm in that thing where I do play a lot of online games, and happens with a lot of people. I've seen it happen a lot, and I've even experienced it myself. You don't know that you're actually addicted to gaming until your fucking internet goes out. So, and there's nothing worse when you're right. I can't wait to come home and game and blah blah blah. And your internet's not working. You start losing your shit.
Yeah.
Start absolutely losing it. It's completely different to having it there and you don't feel like gaming or you don't want to game, but it's still there. But it's when it's even if you don't really want to game, but it's nothing worse than when you do want to game and you go to turn it on and you can't play. That just drives you fucking nuts.
Yeah, I mean, all I've got to do is avoid power cuts and I'm good.
Yeah, that is well.
In saying that, this podcast probably wouldn't work if we had no internet, because we're doing this online. We're not in the same room.
This is true. This is true, mate. This is true.
All right, cool.
All right, cool, mate. Well, all right, mate. Well, we'll wrap this up. So, guys, thanks very much for joining us on our JayNAS Podcast, episode number 3, I believe. So, we are looking forward to catching up with you again, possibly next week, with a few more updates of what we've been talking about, even some new updates as well, things that not many people hear about. But, guys, as of now, you are all up to date with the latest in PC gaming, console, and even retro news. And, of course, Jason616, thanks very much again for joining me, guys. I will leave a link in the description of my channel to his channel to check out his version of his podcast
and
as well.
I'll do
like
the
and subscribe while you are there. And yes,
I'll
Jason
do vice versa. You can check out Naz in the description below for me too. So
for sure. So, guys, thanks very much for watching. Talk to you all again soon. Bye.
Bye.